The most on-time municipality in Lower Mainland is now calling the meeting to order. So can I start off, please, approval of the agenda? Lorna has a recommendation to make with an amendment to the agenda.
Yes, Your Worship, I would like to withdraw the adoption of item 7.1 from this agenda. I am working with Metro on some things that they have to do, and when that's done, I will bring it back probably to the next meeting for adoption.
Okay, for clarity for everybody in the gallery, this is a delay that is brought upon by Metro, not by us. And this is just working with them, so we're not delaying anything. We're working better with them by giving them more time. So with the amendments and the withdrawal of 7.1, I got the agenda moved to. Thank you very much. Discussion, all in favor? All in favor? None opposed. Thank you very much. Motion carried. And let's adopt the minutes if we could. Can we move it? Seconded. Thank you. And all in favor? None opposed. Motion carried. We almost don't have delegations, but we do today.
Pull out.
Well, not just, yeah, I know, and just because of you. Right? So like this. No, yeah, exactly. We have water for you because you're going to get dehydrated. This is Superintendent Annette Solomon, the officer in charge for our CNT Facility Detachment. Thank you for joining us and taking the opportunity to not only introduce yourself, but hopefully, if anybody has questions or anything else that they'd like while you're here, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
I'll come stand up over here or somewhere with it that it's.
You have a gun, you can do anything.
And hopefully I'll be able to answer any questions if there is some out there. This is week 3 for me, so I'm still getting settled, and I was talking to some tourists in the parking lot out here that they were asking me directions, and I was asking the wrong person, because I think they come from the police and they were going to know the area. So I am new to not the Lower Mainland, but this area, so there's a lot of geography for me to still learn between Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam, and Bonterra. I have tell you a little bit about myself. I come from Mission Detachment. I was the officer in charge of Mission with my last posting there. I have just over 23 years service with RCMP, going into 24, and I've worked I started out in Surrey, so I've worked in big places, worked in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, and so I've worked in some of the smaller communities, and came back to BC about 4 years ago as one of the duty officers, which we oversee operations for the Lower Mainland District before I went up for mission, and then excited to be part of the team here and get started out here. But like I said, there's still lots for me to learn, and I'd be more than happy to come back as well at a future date if there is some specific time that you guys want set aside for me to come to be able to answer some questions, or if there's any comments or concerns about anything. But I'll happily take some questions tonight as well, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can, but there may be, for the most part, I may have to come back. I just came from the Coquitlam Council meeting and had lots of questions there that I had a group of people with me though, so they were able to help with some of it. So I don't know if anybody had anything specific they were wondering or wanted to ask.
Mr. Chance, no pardons or the ask for, otherwise please no.
Are we going to see the boat in the bay at all this summer?
Yeah, hopefully. Yes, hopefully. So I know I was just talking when I was at Belgrade yesterday and talking to Doug. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to meet him, who works out here, and we're talking about some of the boat patrols and where we're going to put in, and just some of our challenges with the waterways that we cover and getting access to them. But it is something that I mean, and they love to be out on the boats just as much as well too, so we're looking at, hopefully, and I've met with the mayor as well already to talk about the traffic stuff.
The boat is currently being stored at the Idaho Boat Club, which is nice and close as well, so that is awesome. Never move it if you can help it, but it's on call for us as well.
And it's a provincial boat too as well, so we got it brand new last year, which was good because the province has kind of frozen spending on some of those assets and increasing some of that, so it's good that we were able to get that last year.
Do you have any influence to get that half-submerged vessel out of the bay?
No, and I don't even know which one you're talking about, so there's another thing for me to learn.
The update on that is a long story, which we can catch up with. You guys have heard more than that has, but there's a grant that pays for 75%, and we don't have the 25% required to offset that 75 or release that 75% match for the government grant. The court has on the down low offered to cover our 25% and help to make this into a nice success story. But in staff working with the court to try to access the grant in the first place appears to be far more work and a cost associated with applying for that grant, which is holding us back on getting that done quickly as well. If I remember correctly, there's not a hard cost associated with applying for that. So there's nothing easy. If anybody wants to salvage it, rock and roll, please. But we're working hard on trying to have that be covered by someone other than residents.
Maybe I'll go to, I plan on getting out on the boat as well this summer too, so when it's nice.
That's usually when they come out.
I don't mind hiding when it's raining and windy and stormy outside. But
Yeah.
Any other questions for Matt?
No, but I would make a comment if I could. I live in an area that's a gated area, Fair Cove, and we've had some incidents where the RCMP have arrived at the gate and they don't have a key, which is not a good situation.
I don't know if that's been rectified or.
No, it hasn't.
No,
I'm sure it hasn't.
I'll check. I'm sure we probably maybe would have had one at one point.
I'm sure that they have a key, but not all members are aware.
And I guess, yeah, and that's something, it's a good point too as well. So as you probably know, there's 3 members that are assigned by the province to work Canmore and Valterra. And it's not necessarily as much as those 3 members are up here all the time. They're still training and they're sick or they're on leave. So there will be the odd time that somebody from Coquitlam's establishment will come up here to manage stuff. And it's probably, there's some gap within there when those members come up that they don't have the key. So I will talk to our rural.
Well, oddly enough, yeah, not to talk about your competition, but the Port Moody police were at the same gate last week, and the first part of Lifetime Beach is in Port Moody. They didn't have a key either. So. John and I let them in.
Just a little bit more on that. That gate is only closed after hours. And so when you describe gated community, it's just on the off hours.
But there's a bunch of houses and whatnot in behind it.
Yeah.
Very important whatnot.
I was gonna say heavy car here, so.
I'm glad you didn't say that.
Not compared to animals.
Other emergency services, I'm assuming fire obviously had it, but if ambulance and not.
Fire left ambulance in, and fire trucks and then tow trucks.
Okay, and of course fire would want to be called every time. No, I'll look into that.
I know years ago the supervisors had keys, but that goes back quite a while. I'm not sure what the
From parks. So if that helps, it will be parks that you might want to contact, and you can contact our staff if you don't have those connections with parks.
And it's likely we have keys, but they're not someplace that are accessible or people are using, but if you don't know what that's. Okay, so perfect, then we'll follow up with that.
Any other questions or comments? This is how easy it is in Belcarra compared to Coquitlam.
Possessing all the crime stats for the first time. So we're doing well. We're doing well, but there's lots of questions. So.
You may have noticed we've got the Black Cat project started with an Antler team, and currently hidden, and if anybody knows where it is, We're generating the baseline data so that when the enforcement starts to come in, we can see what kind of impact short and long term that has as well. So that is already underway.
And not just the target area credit as well, because we have so many people that are able to target.
Thank you so much for your time.
No problem. And like I said, I'm willing to come back in the future. But I look forward to working with you. Well,
All right, so if we move to 5.1, Warren, can you outline the report, please?
Yes, Your Worship, this is our annual report that we work on these projects all year based on the strategic plan established by council. And so attached to this agenda is the 2018 annual report. And also included in that is the financial statement, the financial statement, which council has already received. And this is an update, and from here it is the annual report is posted on the website, and it's available at the current counter as set out in the community card.
So, in the event of discussion, I guess someone can move. Yeah, second. Thank you so much. Any discussion? No? All right, from the gallery, any discussion at all on the report? All right, rock and roll. All in favor? None opposed, motion carried. 5.2, please.
Yes, Your Worship. Our grant writers, Morgan was asked to prepare this list. The grants that we are not eligible for, because they're small community grants that are available to the province municipalities, small municipalities that are outside of the Lower Mainland. And Mary Lindsay was interested in understanding what it was that, as a small rural municipality in the Metro Vancouver area, the money that we are excluded from applying for.
So, if I can get someone to move the item. Thank you very much. So, any discussion? May I just start off with, this is a really good report for anybody who has any degree of interest in understanding what part of Metro Van versus not being part of Metro Van means to us. We are not, the question is now just becoming relevant is, can we find a way to gain access to these rural grants that have previously not been available to us because we are part of Metro Vancouver, despite the fact that we're rural. Now we're challenging that ruling with Metro Van support, trying to gain access to these grants. So this report was done to be able to show what everybody else in our circumstances, who's not part of Metro Van, but are as rural and as small as we are, is able to enjoy. And it will match the grants to the strategy of each of the different investments we have to make, and we're going to try to get Metro Vancouver to advocate on our behalf to try and get access to these grants. They think they're very powerful and that their recommendations will carry sway. I'm hoping. Okay. So, any comments?
It was really good.
She did a good job. Yeah. All right. Well, all in favor? None opposed. Motion carried. 5.3, Bernie.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. At the May 15th council meeting, we were directed to investigate putting planters at Lynn Road closure. So I did look into the thing. I got approached 3 suppliers. The best quote I could get was $5,200 for planters, $500 for some dirt, and then there's some maintenance that goes with it. Hence my recommendation that we install 18 meters of the standard roadside barrier for $2,500.
Can I have someone move the report, please? Second? We'll raise the part for the guys. Don't worry, we're okay. We're just be okay. What? All right.
You seconded that?
So we can discuss it.
So we can. All right, and now is the chance for the discussion. 2,500 for the replacement, up-to-date, non-broken, properly cover the road versus 52 to 6,500 to have planters with beautiful plants grading on. Comments?
Car washer ones that are there.
Okay. They're broken in half because you can't lift them properly, I understand, so they're literally falling apart.
Car washing makes it look.
How about you just might be the end of it? I'd like to get Della's feedback too.
Had anybody thought about putting a yellow gate there? What would the cost of a yellow gate like that in the parking lot as opposed to, is that would be? And then with an emergency purposes, that could be unlocked for fire.
It's a shorter dead end and most of the dead ends are there already. So we hadn't looked at the more expensive options like that.
Well, I wasn't thinking that was more expensive. I was thinking that might be
I wouldn't be surprised if the yellow paint was more expensive. At this point, for me, is it reasonable to think that one of those gates would be more expensive plus the finishing on either side?
Yeah, and we probably still need, barriers on the sides, and Lord knows who's got the key, right?
Certainly not an end, but you. Okay, good question.
But I will definitely look at a price for that.
I think if you get the feedback we would expect, you could probably not worry about 3 suppliers if it starts coming as well. I hope in advance, though, feedback from the crowd, so really quickly, when you drive by, that was intended from the very start, and it's still technically a temporary barrier, which is why there wasn't the expense allocated. The goal was to take existing barriers. You may have noticed they've been pulled out from the solid line of barriers on Midland Road, and now it's only every second, so that we could save the money. But they started falling apart, and that's why they're on wooden blocks, so they don't break as we try to move them again. It looks terrible. It was a temporary measure from the start. Feedback thus far is that it is almost overwhelmingly positive that that should become a permanent barrier, which is why we're exploring a more aesthetically pleasing and a better confluence where there's actually motorcycles going between the broken barriers now. We could actually properly block it off and have the motorcycle stop as well. So I'll stop there.
The original intent, to put a barrier in place was to leverage transit, correct? And at this point in time, do we know whether or not that had the desired effect or not?
So two things.
And I have another question after this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're showing me so what it did was Translink now recognizes that we're serious, for sure. We're actually responding remarkably quickly to the proposal about Belcar's alternative to the current transit model, and that's as a result, I think, of us being so serious in our actions. So I think it hasn't hurt the relationship whatsoever. And Lauren, you were there for the last meeting. It was very amicable, and we actually, without getting too far into that, before you ask your next question, I was telling them, you can't make this a bigger project more relevant for more municipalities because that's going to take away from what our immediate need is. Don't make this bigger because we like it that much. We get this first and we get it now, type of thing. So very positive. It didn't destroy the relationship. They've been very supportive.
If we remove the barrier tomorrow, would that help or hurt our cause with transit?
Oh my goodness, if Translink started using that road again, it would hurt our negotiating position.
With transit?
Yes.
Okay, so we
predicated the close on the fact that we didn't want to spend the money to try to maintain that road that's primarily used by the bus and with some parking.
Right. The last council meeting that I heard that was going to go until October or so. At that point in time, I would expect that we would know whether or not it's going to have a desired effect. And if it does, terrific. If it doesn't, I would say get rid of the barrier completely. And
open the road up again.
And if the people that are overwhelmingly in favor are probably the 10 residents that live on that road because it's effectively made a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
And if they want to keep it closed, I don't have any issue with that, but they can pay for whatever the closure ends up looking like, because that's their net benefit and not ours.
Well, to be fair, it's saving us $60,000 not to repair that road, and there's no cost associated with really.
There's still going to be traffic in and out of that road, regardless.
But it can have crushed gravel as a parking lot rather than a paved road, and that allows us to take the money that we were going to put there and onto that Bedwell Bay corner, just opposite. That's the worst corner now in all of Belcarra. So we have a net benefit to the rest of the village to be able to take that other corner, which we don't have the capital available now to be able to fix, Otherwise, Midden Road is working as a priority. So by keeping it closed, we free up the capital from what is a road that has to be repaired, it's not parking lot.
So, you know, I'm sorry to say all of it.
Okay, that's on my best. So, there's an economic benefit to keeping it closed to the village, not just the benefit for the people who are on that road. If we open that road up, we have to fix it. We don't have to fix it if it's a parking area. So the economic benefit is we can now allocate that money that's currently to the Midden Road repair, which had been allocated when it was assumed to be a proper road. We can take that and we can move that over to the Bedwell Bay corner, which is now called, which is the second road in Belfair. And that allows us to repair that earlier than we want the capital available for both. So there is a benefit to the municipality in having that Bedwell Bay road repair done with those funds if we keep it closed as well.
So the asphalt that currently exists there is gonna be taken up and it's gonna be gravel?
It's already got crush filling in a lot of the potholes, and that's enough for a parking area.
And the residents are gonna be happy with the gravel road in front of them instead of the asphalted road in front of them?
What you see is the way it stay, and thus far, there's been only one concerned resident out of all the feedback we had, and multiple who formally written letters asking for this to become permanent. Okay, so you can get the floor back again. Yeah. I couldn't tell who was second. Sir.
Yeah, what kind of feedback have you gotten from outside of the village, from anybody involved with construction that runs trucks, not being able to turn their trucks around?
There was one general contractor who complained for a house that I think it's 2 in from the corner of Bedwell Bay Road and Belfair Bay Road, and they're 2 down the dead end now. And that general contractor said there was no way to access that house. I advised the house owner that every single other dead end in the village, the contractors just back down, and they only have to go about 30 meters to do this, and the opposition disappeared, and we haven't heard a problem with this. We have people
But
backing
anybody
up.
running tractor units, transfer trailers, they can't turn around without great difficulty in the village, so it's not the immediate.
Yeah, it's the same everywhere in the village. So you should see them trying to back up Sinclair Road.
No, it's not the same.
Earlhead.
I'm talking about the truck being able to actually cycle in the village and turn around, not get to the individual places that they have to go. That comes with the territory, I know that.
If we had the money to repair that road and all the other roads, then it was a non-issue, but those trucks are what are chewing up the road more than anything else. So we could do a part, so that 60 grand that we currently have allocated to Midden Road, that's a 6% property tax increase per year, just to put it in perspective. So we either have to protect our assets and try to save money from repairing them, or we're putting that money to that road so those trucks can turn around. There was another question? Please, ma'am.
It wasn't really a question. I was just thinking that $2,500 is not a huge amount of money. And if we could properly close the road off, could those lots, if for some reason or other, like a barrier, we would have to move them. We could use them as inventory for other areas, so it wouldn't be money wasted. I wouldn't.
We're short on not having, we're already short on those blocks. Obviously, they have to use the other ones that have been in place for whatever, 20, 30 years, 40 years. So no, they don't go to waste. We could probably use them in 5 or 10 different places right now anyways. I would actually propose that, I don't know what a full truckload is, but if that's exactly a truckload, okay, I was going to say, if we could take one more on the truckload, we need to maybe take that extra one if it's even cheap, because we could use the inventory at some point for sure.
Is there a way, we have residents in the village that are well connected with Canadian Tire, well connected with cement companies. Could there be a way of having residents help to do with providing something there?
Cement planters. This wall brought to you by?
Exactly.
Yeah, there actually is. I think that's one of the things where the revenue generating committee is looking at is how to accept donations. It's not going to happen fast enough to be able to take care of our infrastructure to the level which we're currently responsible. So whether the money comes from a donation or if it comes from, at this point we'll look at 2,500 from reserves, or you could look at it as part of that 50 grand and it's just a write down on the 50 grand, you say. I think we have a responsibility, and I'd like to think people have some pride in what the village looks like as people are driving around. There was one more comment, Joe.
Just to make sure if it does become permanent, consideration is left for wheelchairs and strollers, that it's not completely blocked. I know we're concerned about the motorcycles going through, but somehow it's designed that strollers and wheelchairs can also somehow access.
It's a good question. So right now there's a path, right? It goes to the parking lot. That's and then if it's visitors, of course, it's Belcara Park side. That's the wheelchair access. There isn't really a good way for resident wheelchairs other than at the turnaround down by the Midden. So we've never talked about it. It's a good consideration. Nice. Was there one more for Scott?
Yeah, I was thinking that if we're seriously looking at long term, it's only $2,500 more. I would think that it would be money better spent to put a very nice
option.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that it has to be that much, but if it's going to be long term, if it's short term, then sure, it's going to be regular block.
If I could just go to just before you
Sure.
Dave?
Yeah, I hope this is helpful. From the tennis court down to the crosswalk, there's these enormous boulders. I'm not being facetious. There's now signs there saying you can't park, so people don't park there. The front end loader could put them in front of that barrier, and it'd be just like the concrete curbs that you're putting in.
That's a good point.
Leave that to Bernie, he would know better than I. That can be done.
Just before Bruce, before your comment, is that a cost savings option? Rob, you just moved a bunch of these things. If we had to buy the rocks or get a excavator, sometimes the movement is cheaper than $2,500. Yeah.
I know some of these costs a lot.
So good idea, Bruce.
Yeah, I think it's just on science point. I mean, we have to sort of anticipate where we're going to be in October. I just wanted to note that the idea of waiting till October was just to move past this is temporary, we're going to make a decision in 2 weeks. I mean, I think I popped up the idea of October was just to say, let's give it a fixed amount of time, but let's tell Translink we're not making any decisions at least until October. We want to go through the summer, see what the effect is, see how property owners are affected on both sides of them. I have to say, personally, I've not heard anything negative. Obviously, you've had some contacts, but this has been remarkably positively received by the people that are immediately impacted, the property owners there. A grant that is obviously a difficulty for some large trucks, and if you remove an option to turn out. That, but in terms of a permanent barrier, so you have to jump forward to October, are we going to make an expenditure now that will change if we decide to keep it closed in October, November? And I certainly think at that point I might be more interested personally in having some plants in there, something that's more attractive, because there is a tendency always for us to look at the most useful, practical, and low cost option, but it's very seldom aesthetically pleasing. And sometimes that's the most appropriate decision, but I sometimes think we should be willing to invest a few dollars. And I wonder if it was permanent, and if we were going to put in something that involved planters, whether we couldn't get volunteers to manage it. You talk about the maintenance issue. I've been approached about this a few times. I think there are people that would be quite happy to do the maintenance. I appreciate. It's wonderful in theory, and then 2 years later you've lost all your volunteers, and you end up doing it again as a staff function. But I think that's one worth looking at. The problem with it is, if we reopen it in 6 months, what do you do with your planters? And we know what we're going to do with the barriers, right? So the barriers themselves are a problem. So I just wanted to say I agree with you, Simon. I think we should be willing to invest a few more dollars if we get an aesthetically pleasing product.
Could we perhaps, I agree, I would like to see the planters better than the barriers there, but could we just leave the way it is until October? And then if we decide to close the road, then we'll spend the money and.
Sorry, if I could.
Yeah, of course.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Like a hedge, like a laurel hedge.
Oh,
I think.
No,
we
not that.
Oh,
Well, not laurel.